Mamluks declared this war. The Mamlukian reconquest of Al-Quds.
And Rome has fallen to Croatia. We got a 500,000 battle going on. We should probably keep an eye on that one.
Yeah, I just went up to that one. Switzerland just rolled a -1.
Ooh. So this is 200,000 Swiss versus 300,000 Brits. And usually when I call out just the one nationality, it's just the flag there. It's to tell you what team it is, as opposed to just being the Swiss, because the Swiss are usually supporting some of the others, like the Hanoverians. But this is still 500,000 men fighting right now in the...
And hundreds of thousands of reinforcements on the way.
In the calm forests and the quiet forests of Rethelwa.
And another -1. Every time I look over, the Swiss are rolling a -1.
And the quality of the generals here, 353, with a fire bonus for the Swiss versus Michel, who is a 442. So definitely the Swiss coming in with the better commanders, I would say. However, this is now 400,000 British and French, and they do indeed send the Hanoverian and Swiss packing.
Let's see, how's the Swiss doing? The Swiss are starting to run a little low. They're at 37,000 troops right now. But that being said, they have 76% army professionalism at about 30,000 men per click. So they've got deep pockets to pull from.
It's not just that. They are the Swiss. They are actually more reliant on mercenaries than they are on regular forces. They have the independent army, which has a local manpower of 101,000. So Swiss is still okay for quite some time, as long as they have the money to pay the mercenaries.
Russia, on the other hand, is out of army professionalism. I think they have clicked their last slack in recruiting standards. We got 26,000 in the bank, and that's getting dumped into the military right now. And you can clearly see the Prussians are rolling the frontier back, and Russia has retreated into their own territory. I think they know that there's manpower issues.
Yeah, and the Mughals are kind of following them back as well. Was that Mughals? No, Persia. No, it was the Mughals. Are pulling back as well, and I'm kind of curious to see how many troops the Mughals have at this point. They are down to 25,000 with... Oh no, they got loads of professionalism. They're still at 35%, so that's another 7 slackens right there.
It looks like there is some progress being made in Jerusalem. The one more battle was won. A couple Andalusian armies have been forced on the retreat, but it seems like everybody is just kind of staring at each other and waiting for their army's morale and some reinforcements to come in. They're both kind of just waiting there, not really pushing too hard.
Meanwhile, the Dutch are revolting.
Yes, they are.
I just wanted to say that. So we've got 80,000, a very low-key affair in Verdun. I'm sure that this won't escalate at all.
Yeah. No.
Nope.
No, there are hundreds of thousands of troops that aren't going to get meat grindered right now.
And talking of quality, France here with 123% discipline against Hanover's 120. So last time we noted that the Hanoverians had the higher quality. Right now I'd say France does. But looking at the morale. France, Elan France, sometimes with the highest morale in the game, except maybe for Mughals or Persia, one of those two, has 6 against Hanover's 8. That's a difference of 2. That's a huge difference.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there's a crusade, and they have the papal blessing. So this is the Catholic edge showing here. 20% higher morale there than their opponent in France.
What I'm loving is that when I left during my last casting session, the Swiss immediately kowtowed to like the 3 Romes, going, "Yeah, we'll totally go Orthodox," and now they're kind of leading the fight.
No, actually, they are Orthodox. That's actually a bug, which Tinto was telling us about. Yeah, Switzerland are Orthodox, but the problem is there's a bug, which means if you've gone Protestant, you cannot convert to Orthodox. So spiritually, they are Orthodox, and they did get like half of their country occupied by Orthodox rebels.
Okay, we'll make a Jira.
Exactly. I mean, it's Tinto that literally found this, so I would hope that's one of the things they're on.
Exactly.
I mean, that's always
live bug reporting.
That's one of the genius things about the dev clashes, and that's what they originally were for. It was the multiplayer bug fix or bug hunting sessions that eventually became televised and became the dev clash that we all know and love.
I do love the dev clashes myself.
And Andalusia starting to advance the frontier a little bit more. Meanwhile, on the Russian front, the Prussians have actually backed right off.
It looks like the Prussian armies are heading into Bavaria to help out there right now.
Yeah, because they have the Croatians and the Romanians coming in. Croatia's still with 386,000 troops. Like, Croatia is probably actually going to be the kingmaker here for their faction if they're able to pull this one out. And they are opposed to Prussia. Meanwhile,
that is a lot of troops moving into Bavaria right now. That is a beautiful wave.
And Russia probably can't see any of this, no. Because Russia's still holding back. Probably a little bit suspicious about the fact that the Livonian area hasn't seen a counterattack yet. But they may well catch the Romanians, who are still a little bit fragmented, and the Croatians, who are a long way away to support them. Kind of unawares, hitting them in the back. Does Romania have any forts? They do. They have a level 4 in Trenčín and a level 4 in Brunn, so they should be able to have a little bit of a warning that the Prussians are coming. But as we've seen in the past, Prussia has no problem with just assaulting walls in order to push their advantage and do a little bit of blitzkrieg.
And I did just notice, I went looking, Kazan, Horsey Boys, are sending some of their troops into Russia to help now.
And that new Kazan-Russian alliance, I'm very curious to see how that works. Although, of course, Kazan, no longer a horde. They have become a republic.
No. They could be a horsey republic, though. That's still okay.
Flying horsey republic, indeed.
There you go. It looks like in Jerusalem, the front lines have been thrown back quite a ways. Andalusia and Songhai are on the offensive now, and we've got Persia, Bahmanis, and Jerusalem have fallen back a few hundred kilometers to the north, maybe to try to get better defensive terrain.
Yeah, possibly, or just to lick their wounds and try and get some manpower back. I mean, they still have Damascus. I mean, this is all open land, which isn't really going to be particularly good when they're playing defense.
I was thinking maybe they would try to lure them back into Persia. But then again, Persia has not built forts on a lot of their mountain provinces. In fact, Persia has very few forts. That is dangerous.
That's been a recurring theme. Like, the only ones that I would say that have really been on it with the fort construction would be Switzerland, France, and Hanover? Yeah, Hanover's been pretty on.
I was casting when Hanover got blitzed by Prussia into the ground because they only had level 2 forts.
But we can now say that they have learned from that experience and they now have entirely level 4s. Oh, here we go. We've got a massive fight between the Prussians and the Croatian and Romanians. The Prussians taking a -2 here. 205,000 Prussians against 177,000 Croatians and Romanians. We've got additional Croatians emerging from the woodwork to go and reinforce this. We've got Bavaria coming in with 70,000. It is now still very high numbers, but that -2, I've seen this happen a lot. Like, players just perfectly happy to take a -2. Way more frequently than I usually see.
Yeah, I'm one who's usually pretty in favor of trying to stack those modifiers in my favor. I will usually decline a battle if it's gonna guarantee me a -2.
Yeah, I like -1. I'm sometimes hesitant about -2. Heck no. -3. What am I even doing?
Especially in that situation, that could have been microed a little bit better. They didn't send very good generals in, and just a high maneuver general would have knocked that from -2 to -1.
Anyway, Andalusia currently sitting back, recuperating a little. Same with Songhai. Seemingly content to not really push the attack into Jerusalem. They were starting to nibble a little bit away against the Mamluks, but have since stopped.
Songhai down here does have about 100,000 troops from Ayutthaya, just running free roughshod across their territory right now.
Meanwhile, we have got Hanover picking out the British army. We do have the French rushing to their assistance, but if they are a little bit too slow in their arrival, then this could be some serious loss for the Brits, although how much manpower do they have? 40,000. Britain's running a bit low. And professionalism-wise, they are tapped.
And what I just noticed, Ayutthaya went straight for the capital of Songhai, breached the walls, and it looks like they're trying to blitz it down. They're not assaulting it, though. It doesn't look like they have enough troops to really guarantee a victory there, but they are trying to get it down quickly.
That's amazing. A bit of a naval invasion going on just down there. A nice play by Ayutthaya. Although I am kind of wondering if their faction's going, that's 80,000 men we could be using somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. I mean, given the fact that is amazing as they are for their assistance right now, Songhai's troops are not as effective in the field as some of the other ones. Maybe it'd be more useful, um, for their manpower to be on a different front rather than trying to kind of backdoor Songhai.
Yeah, and in fact, if I was Ayutthaya, I'd probably try to take one of the northern forts to deny them the return, and then just carpet siege. Songhai has not been building forts.
No. Which is a shame, too, because a single fort on the frontier in the right spot could have prevented a lot of this.
I mean, they defended the frontiers, but they're expecting all their enemies to come from the north. Ever since they defeated the Dutch, they were probably going, we're probably safe from naval invasions.
Mm.
But you are never safe from a naval invasion.
I know how you love your navies. Oh, we got Prussia and Romania again. Oh, but it looks like Romania lost that time and caught just the end of it.
And we've got the British fighting against Hanover again. 400,000 British and French fighting against the 175,000 Hanoverians and Swiss. They've got another 80,000 coming in, but I don't think that's going to be enough to swing. Actually, no, it might be. Britain getting very low on morale. They've got another 25k, which they could bring in. Some of the Hanoverian front line getting a little bit withered, but the morale difference is pretty significant still. And Britain's taking some pretty big hits.
Yeah, that morale difference right there is what's keeping these, like, technically inferior armies really fighting strong in the field.
And Hanover has that blinding 120 discipline as well, so they can stick in the field and they can stick it in you as well and really do some damage. Poor choice of words. I realised that as I was saying it. I'm regretting it already. But anyway, we're going to move swiftly on because the British and the French have got artillery. And so they lost. There you go. Yeah. So there's a fight going on in Andalusia. There we go. Changing topic. It is 135,000 Andalusians versus 100,000 Croatians. And the... Wait, Croatia down here already? Nice.
I missed working with you, Morgan.
There are some gems, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Oh, boy. Looks like we had another big battle fighting in the Middle East again. They are all moving their troops together, reinforcements filtering, 100,000 on each side with a couple 100,000 reinforcements as well. Andalusia is not doing well on morale, even though we've got Croatia rolling zeros. But again... almost 8 morale to 6.4.
And it does look like the Croatians heard the call to arms coming from their southern buddies as they have switched from the front fighting against the Prussians to move down into the desert.
Oh my god, those Croatians should rename their general Will Wheaton because they are rolling nothing but zeros.
Yeah.
Jeez. Do you see how many? That was like 3 or 4 zeros in a row there, I think.
Andalusia just got one to even it out a little bit, but still against a 3. And then the Persians have moved in saying, I'm assuming direct control.
Oh, the Mughals showed up, rolled a 9.
Yeah, this is how it's done. Crit.
Get out of my way.
But it definitely looks like the Mamelukes and the Knights need to... I keep calling them the Knights. In fact, they are the Knights. They don't own Jerusalem. So the Mamelukes and the not Jerusalems are needing the assistance against Andalusia, which is actually one of the strongest military tags around, I think. I really rate Andalusia as a fighting force, just because of the extra fire damage reduction.
I do not see Andalusia coming ahead on this one, though.
No, just
doesn't look...
The sheer weight of Croatian manpower coming in there is just bullying everything aside.
Yeah, but especially with so many reinforcements coming in for the north right now, there's still, 100,000 troops that have yet to be committed.
Yeah, and I mean, it's 500,000. We got a 500,000 battle going on here.
As long as you don't, for live people, if you count the dead people, it's even more.
Yeah, that's true. Ooh, Croatia taking a 3,000 damage tick there just before Andalusia was pushed out. And that is a bit of a rallying point for the Jerusalem team. Meanwhile, Prussia... Yep, go on.
Sorry, I was going to say that just real quick. That being said, taking all those casualties, they still have 340,000 in the bank, Croatia, that is.
Yeah, Croatia just came out of nowhere with that amount of manpower. It's just like, you have no right to have this many. And yet they do. Meanwhile, in Prussia, we've got Russia taking control of that momentary blip in Prussian attention, as they were probably expecting another counterattack from the Croatians and the Romanians, which never came, and allowed Russia to blitzkrieg the blitzkriegers, taking half of the country. But Prussia is now starting to rally and starting to return.
Oh my God! Andalusia retreated the wrong direction.
Oh.
150,000 troops are stuck on the wrong side of the Sinai Peninsula now.
Oh no, I need to see this from Andalusia's perspective to see where they are shattered retreating to. They're going, for some reason, to Medina.
Oh, that's a problem.
But the Mamluks haven't noticed. They're just sitting up there. They're not... Oh no, they are chasing, but fairly slowly. And it's only the Mamluks. It's only this 38k stack, and they've stopped.
Yeah, they stopped. They're not going to try to take advantage of it, but that does buy them some breathing room to make a push.
Would they be able to cross over down here? It depends if they have military access with Ethiopia. Just completely snake away and escape certain destruction. Because, yeah, it's 130,000 men stuck there.
There's so many massive battles going on that we're missing like 200,000 man battles because it's like small fries. There's another big one forming up, Russia versus Prussia again.
Oh, yep. So the Russians being rather low in morale as we're joining this one. They do have a full back line, as do the... mostly full back line, as do the Prussians. I'm guessing we're at a 32 combat width now? Yeah.
It looks like they're not committing to this battle, though.
No, Russia... Oh, no, they're starting to mobilize a couple of their units, force marching them in, but they might have misjudged that, because the artillery's in the front line already.
Yeah, I'm wondering if maybe it was a misclick or a miscommunication, because it several times it looked like they started moving away, then stopped and started moving away again. It would have been better to either commit or just leave.
Yeah, they were maybe waiting for the Mughal, or the Persians? Mughals, to rally and answer that, because the Mughals seem to have some pretty good generals. There's a whole bunch of...
That was a missed opportunity there, too, because they had a 4-pip advantage on the shock phase.
Ooh.
On the Russian side there. That could have been a game changer, well, at least temporarily.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking of game changers, how are the manpower pools looking for each of the sides? Russia, of course, completely tapped. Prussia down to 295,000, but their professionalism is now tapped. Romania, professionalism tapped, 100,000 still in the bank. Croatia, still with 10 points of professionalism, which means they can slacken 152,000 manpower per slacken. They can do that twice more. They have 300,000. They have 770,000 manpower still to use. Like, Croatia has not even started to fight yet.
Nope. And I'd just like to point out that in just one of the wars, we're creeping up on 7.5 million dead.
Oh. And this French fight is going to be contributing a couple more to that, because Hanover did just manage to wipe a 20k stack there with their 80k. However, France is throwing in a bunch of troops, and it doesn't look like Hanover's got anything nearby to come and reinforce them. The entire Hanoverian force is just way behind the lines, and they're just going to let this group fight.
Yep.
But they are backing.
Yeah, they retreated there. Not a good fight to take. Right idea to move away from it. It looks like Andalusia has decided to pull back from the front line, give themselves some breathing room. Thankfully, they do have a couple forts they can fall behind.
Yeah, I mean, they set themselves up ready for this battle, which so many other nations just haven't done. They have fortified themselves properly. They've said, okay, we're going to need a bit of defense and depth. We need space to pull back and reinforce. We can. And beyond that, they actually have like 2 fighting lines. They got that first one in Africa immediately adjacent to Egypt. And then they have a second blocking point in, what would that be? Libya.
Is one of the few nations that I will say actually is making proactive use of fort building. Not necessarily all over, but definitely where it counts.
Yeah. I mean, you can definitely see the nations that are more competent with the fort construction, like Switzerland, sure, Andalusia, probably with one of the strongest fort games so far, because all of their forts are either on the border with France, a couple of strategic places in the mountains, and then their border with Jerusalem, which has been the high danger zone.
They're now forced marching those 134,000 men that went on vacation to the south.
And in fact, Croatia, their line of forts facing against Italy, currently upgrading to level 4. So they're probably realizing that they should probably upgrade a bit, although Italy doesn't seem to be in a particular position to do very much against them.
So it's a bit of a lesser front, but Songhai has lost their capital, but driven Ayutthaya out and is about to retake it.
14%. Where is Ayutthaya? They just left. Nope, they're in the
I,
south.
I'm assuming they shattered retreat pretty far.
So there's 15,000 in Congo. And that's all I'm seeing.
Another big battle fighting fighting at the we'll just call it the Maginot. Somebody asked how Hanover's economy is, and they have maxed out on loans, but they got 35,000 in the bank still, so they got a lot of wiggle room. They can keep it going for a long time.
You say that, but they are losing 230 ducats a month. Meanwhile, there is another Clash of the Titans here. 200,000 Frenchmen against 100,000 Hanoverians, with many, many, many more Hanoverians and Swiss available to fight. And there was a northern flanking army from Britain coming in, possibly to try and cut off reinforcements, but they probably noticed there aren't any. Once this 80k is done, that's it.
Yeah. Well, that buffer does buy them almost 12 years of combat before running out of money.
All right, it's a while. I'll grant you that.
I got a little time. Well, I mean, that's if the money doesn't get spent anywhere else. So obviously, it's not going to last that long. But they're not, like, in dire straits right now.
No, that's fair. So France, 360,000 against 166,000. Britain and France still with a bunch more troops. The Swiss coming in with a final hurrah, but I suspect that manpower issues are really starting to feel the pinch over here.
I'm continually impressed by the Swiss ability to stand up in the field to 2-to-1 odds.
The Swiss have been building a super militaristic nation, and because of the quality of their forts, they're not the ones being invaded. So they've freed up their armies to go wherever they're needed.
Chat. Somebody in chat just mentioned something. You don't have to pay dead people, so yeah, there you go.
That's a true thing. Armies would very often put payday after a major battle because they knew they would have to pay less.
Oh, that's dark.
It's what they did. It's a pretty common military tactic, unfortunately.
We're moving payday for relations for reasons unrelated to anything going on until the day after tomorrow. By the way, the enemy camp's right over there.
Yeah, you just spend the day thinking about all the things you'll spend your money on. There you go.
Ooh, Prussia might just get one of their armies stack wiped.
Ooh.
Possibly.
Oh yes, fighting against 100,000 Russians, and there it goes.
0 on the shock phase and got stack wiped there. I don't know what happened to the prelude to that because I was looking over at the other battle, but that was a reverse card for Prussia there. I would also like to point out that we have colonial troops in here now.
Interesting.
See, I see AI colonial troops messing about.
Speaking of colonial troops, Colombia was in this fight at some point, but they have since pieced out apparently and are now just fighting the AI, trying to continue to consolidate a bit more. Wasn't there a Brazil? There was a Brazil. They've taken Brazil. Oh, it was Dutch Brazil.
I think they ate it.
Yeah.
Those
Stuff.
Those troops from Andalusia are now forced marching through Ethiopia and all the way up through Songhai trying to get home, suffering attrition all the way.
And then the army that was trying to chase them down, the Persians here, in ties, trying to get into a position to block them, but apparently they were too late.
Do they have the manpower? Because I don't think I've looked at Andalusia's. They've got 16 in the bank, but they can slacken 5 times.
And each of those
85,000 a pop. So yeah, no, they're not anywhere close to being out.
Oh.
Prussia is, while they are doing well, on paper, they've still got plenty of mana in the bank. They've got a couple, or they maxed out on loans. Oh, actually, Prussia has plenty of manpower, but they've only got 4,600 ducats left. They're at minus 100 ducats a month, and they're maxed out on their loans. Prussia's running out of economy.
Yeah, but Prussia is allied to Britain. And Britain has been Mr. Moneybags. Although they are currently running on a 160 deficit right now, they have already taken 20 loans. They are 12,000 ducats in debt. Okay, never mind. Britain is hurting.
Yeah.
Britain can't afford this for much longer.
It's an interesting war. Nations are going to run out of money before men to throw into the bonfire.
And that's kind of what happens when there are so few mercantile nations. In fact, there really is only one, Britain. Russia tried, but they did such a bad job building up their economy, it's not really going to do them much.
Somebody in chat asked who's allied to Hanover in this. Hanover is with the Swiss, Croatia, Romania, Russia, Jerusalem, Mughals, Kazan.
Ayutthaya.
Yeah, I knew I missed one there.
How
many loans can Great Britain take? Dozens more, but still.
Yeah, I went into the diplomatic map mode, so you can kind of get an idea of the scale of this fight right now. It is a big one. This is definitely the Second World War right now. In 1621.
Especially in terms of casualties. What I've definitely noticed is as the life cycle of EU force gone on, the casualties in wars have just started ramping up and up and up as there's more and more ways to get manpower.
Yeah, slack in recruitment standards is probably one of the most unbalanced ways of manpower generation now. Especially since they really toned down how much mercenaries can do. Because you can't just infinite recruit them anymore.
Basically like laundering manpower through your economy.
Yeah. And that's exactly how it used to be. Your income would basically just be a secondary manpower pool.
Hire mercs.
Yeah. So,
back in my day, we hired mercenaries. We liked it.
So, Strong High was a lie.
Hey, I was saying that they're strong on paper, but their military is weak in the field.
And Ayutthaya here with 100,000, so apparently I did miss one of their armies. About to attack 40,000, so we will see how true this is. 4.7 morale. Ayutthaya. Ow.
It's funny that this has turned into like such a secondary, again, hundreds of thousands of troops in the field, and it's a secondary front.
Yeah, like literally it's 100,000 on each side right now, because Strong High is about to come in with a second reinforcement group, but they're both sitting on 100 discipline. Strong High with 5.4 morale, which against anyone else would be very, very low. But Ayuttaya's got 4.7, and Ayutthaya did just lose again.
Solid win there for Strong High. We got a naval battle going on off the coast as well. Andalusia is losing their navy. It's a lightship navy, though.
Against Bahmanis, but lightship navies are usually trade, which is another way of hitting someone's economy.
That like for Prussia, for example, one of the reasons they're broke is because they're sieged down.
Yeah.
They're not making any income from their land.
That's always one of my favorite threats when I play as a mercantile nation, especially if you're playing as someone like Britain, who is really hard to go after. It's like, you might win this war, but I'll win the peace, because I will just privateer you and make you go bankrupt.
I love economic warfare.
Oh, it's so underrepresented, so undervalued. Especially in games like EU4, where, honestly, like we are seeing here, it's not manpower that's going to be the Achilles heel, it's money. And if the more ways that you can wage economic warfare through privateering, through blockades, like, nobody's blockading here. Why? That can be such a huge score, one, in terms of war score, and also, secondly, it reduces their economic output.
Big battle in Prussia again. I think Prussia realizes that they need to start recapturing some of their territory because they are making some dangerous moves.
And this is precisely why Prussia almost... Did they? No, they actually lost... Yeah, they actually lost the previous war because they just didn't play defense. Prussia in this game has been all about defense. They've been pretty good at that, but this is the cost. And they really need to learn to actually defend their borders a bit more. Like, they have time. Their allies have built some forts. They can spend some time bouncing between fronts, particularly because the Prussian front has been pretty self-contained. It's a pretty small area. It's not like you're marching troops all the way from Persia or something to get into this fight.
The 57th Battle of Verdun's going on right now.
It is 240,000 against 143,000, but there are 180,000 Swiss standing very nearby, ready to jump in. And this is another -2 for the French. This is probably a siege. I'm guessing they were trying to siege down Verdun.
I definitely think that there is a change in tactics going on right now, because I just noticed a British fleet of heavies meandering around, knocking out trade fleets.
Britain's done that a few times in the Baltic, but I'm very happy to hear if they're doing it elsewhere too.
It was in the Venice trade node.
There you go. So yeah, it's valuable, like, especially if you can catch a couple of those trade fleets. One, they cost a lot to set up. Two, you're denying them trade income. So we got two separate fights now. We got the British who actually intercepted the Swiss. So the Swiss ain't coming to Hanover's rescue. 360,000 Frenchmen against 160,000 Hanoverians. Even with the French at that -2, they needed those Swiss armies to come in. This is really going to come down to whether the Swiss can beat the British quickly enough to then rally and come to Hanover's assistance. And this is Hanover with crazy morale, so I might actually do it.
I'm not sure about that. Honestly, the British have been rolling pretty good, and Hanover has been rolling really bad in that secondary battle.
But Britain's down to just 2 regiments in the field. They're now both in the front line. Britain's gone.
Oh,
and Hanover won. Anyway, they didn't need that help.
Yep. I think both battles ended on the same tick there.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we had that happen a couple of times with the Prussians. Like, your allies are just over there. It's fine. I don't need them.
We've got Romania sieging down Saxony now. Looks like Prussia's going over there to try to knock them out, but is Prussia out of no, I'm wondering why they're running around with either bad generals or no generals.
I'm guessing
because it doesn't seem to matter fighting the Romanians. They just wiped them out all the same.
I'm guessing the Prussians are running out or didn't have as many generals as they could because they've been building new stacks to replace the ones that were stack wiped. But yeah,
2
wow.
stack wipes. 2 stack wipes on the Romanian troops up there. I was criticizing them for having a 1-star general and just like, Prussians don't need a general against Romanians.
It's fine, just send Corporal Jones, he'll be enough.
Exactly. Oh, North Africa, huge battle.
Literally just zooming in on that as you said it. 200,000 Andalusians against 135,000, 160,000 Croatians. Andalusia with another 100,000 nearby, ready to reinforce. However, it doesn't look like Croatia and their allies have anything particularly new. There's a couple of Persians and a couple of Jerusalem, but they are a long way away.
That's another 60,000 troops. Are they going to make it in time?
And Andalusia and Persia, by the looks of things, relatively balanced, except for morale. Again, Persia, I do vaguely remember from one of the dev clashes, Persia's morale levels can reach ridiculous levels.
Persia's very strong.
Right, because they can go Sunni, and they have that buff, which reduces their...
Didn't make it. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Didn't make it, and their troops are locked in movement.
Yep, the Jerusalem army is marching in. The Persians decided, nah, it's a bad idea.
Here we come. Oh, oh, sad. Ooh, Persia is opening a front on Songhai now. Oh. So now Songhai is on a 2-front war. We've got Ayutthaya coming from the south and Persia coming in from the east.
And it looks like Songhai is aware of the Persians coming in because they are guarding this little choke point. But do you know what would be even better at guarding a choke point like this?
A fort?
There you go. Got it in one.
But it looks like they see each other now, that's for certain.
Meanwhile, we have the Andalusian army about to take Tirana back again. That's one of their frontier forts that's been holding the line over there very, very successfully. But we have got the Prussians and the Russians going at it once again. Russia feeling that they are now ready to re-enter the fray. But their morale is awful. 5.7? What happened, Russia?
I don't know. Did they lose a modifier? They have very few modifiers on there right now.
Bankrupt? Nope. Oh, no. Persia entered and it jumped up to 6. Sorry, Mughals entered and went up to 6.5, which is still higher.
You know, another thing I just noticed while we were looking at that is that Russia's army tradition is horrifically low.
Interesting. Even though they've been fighting this much.
No, it was 95. I was looking at it, and somebody said it was somebody on there was 23. It was not Russia though, because their army tradition is very high.
Might be one.
Somebody was very low.
Might be one of the minions. It does look like Russia's going to be losing this fight. Prussia still with a couple of Saxon units coming in. Although that being said, Mughals are here with vast quantities of additional forces, and then we got the Croatians, ever loyal, ever dutiful, coming in from the south to bring the fight to Glogau. And I kind of doubt that the Prussians are going to have it in them to defend this, and they don't, and Prussia is seen off.
Oh my.
Prussia pieced out.
With 182,000 men in the bank, Prussia's out. Somebody in chat like 20 or 30 minutes ago was like, how is it even possible for Russia to lose? Prussia to lose, that is. There we go.
Bankrupt. They ran out of money.
Yep. couldn't keep it going any longer. Ran out of cash.
So that then kind of begs the question, how long is Britain going to be in this? They're at 200,000 down. They are actually only 26 loans now in debt. That's only gone up slightly since the previous time. And they can have up to 159 loans. I think they're okay for a while yet. And the Royal Navy has been chastened.